Welcome to the Pelican Brief with your host, David Tapman.
Welcome to the Pelican Brief. I am your host, David Tapman. We have a special guest in the studio today, Daniel Banguel, who is a candidate for House District 62 in the Louisiana House of Representatives. Welcome, Daniel, to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited about what we're going to be discussing today.
Well, I appreciate you being here. I know you're busy, you're a candidate, and you're running around. Why don't we take this opportunity for you to sort of introduce yourself to our audience? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, where do I start? I'm graduated here locally in East Baton Rouge Parish school system, Terra High School, graduate of Northwest State University right here in the state of Louisiana, and a graduate of Southern University Law Center. I've been in politics. I have a political consulting firm. Also a business owner. I have a monitoring service as well as substance abuse clinic. I'm always in the community giving back. I believe giving back is essential due to how I grew up. I grew up in North Baton Rouge. I believe education was a big piece of how I was able to provide a life for myself as well as my family. I have children. I have 2 girls, 2 boys. And I just love to interact with people and just like to help people. And so that was kind of my initiative as to why I decided I wanted to run.
Yeah, and I obviously you and I know each other from my service on the school board, and you were always very engaged in the community. And Tara was actually one of the schools in my district, and so I know you've been, you've always put your money where your mouth is when it comes to being engaged, particularly in education and things important to the community. So, for those of us in our audience that don't know, why don't you tell us a little bit about your district's geography and makeup?
So, as you know, this is one of the districts that were redrawn in the last session, and so it includes all of East Feliciana Parish as well as parts of East Baton Rouge Parish, where it goes down from Zachary, Baker, and parts of Baton Rouge, where specifically the Glen Oaks area. And so obviously the Baton Rouge piece was just to kind of pack in that population,
right?
Because East Feliciana is so rural,
right?
And man, you definitely need a golf cart to go from house to house. It's so far away.
Right.
People's house is so far away from the road. So just trying to get in that mode of canvassing is very difficult in that area due to so much land. Lot of land.
Yeah, you might have to skip the golf cart and go to like a 4-wheeler. Huh?
I think so, especially some parts of it. But what really touched my heart is a lot of those people need help.
Yeah.
When I saw people living in shelters, never seen that before. Mm-hmm. I felt as though I can help. In a way where we could start off with systematically starting off with especially our young children that are in our community. Mm-hmm. And so the area, like I said, it's big, all of East Feliciana Parish, and it comes on down to Baton Rouge.
Yeah. Well, I know the district kind of, but with the reapportionment, it did change a little bit, and I couldn't tell you what every precinct is, but I get the difference between when you're in the urban areas and you're trying to campagn, and then in the rural areas, it's definitely tougher. So again, I know you're a public servant, have been for a long time, been involved in what's going on. Tell us what was the catalyst that caused you to want to run for this particular office?
Well, just listening to the community. When I went up to, I have family that live in Jackson. I have family and we have actually, my grandfather owned some land in Ethel. And so I've always been up there in some capacity. And what's unique about this particular area is I've actually lived in each part, or I've been some form of fashion. So from East Feliciana, family in Jackson, Wilson, grew up on 61 in Zachary, went to Northwestern Middle in Zachary, moved with my dad, went to Terra in Baton Rouge, and then I went to Bakerfield Elementary.
Oh, wow.
So I've touched every part of the district, and I'm like, man, this got to be something either is coincidental, or it must be really a calling for me to go out and run.
Right.
And when I listen to the people, we're talking about helping small business owners there, trying to find alternative ways for them to be able to afford to hire new people or to spread their services. And I got really excited about having a background in doing that type of stuff. I've worked with a lot of legislators already, pushing policies and helping write. So that was one of my initiatives to want to go out and run.
That's awesome, and I appreciate you offering yourself for public service. It is it can be at times a thankless job. It can be very difficult, but a lot of things are decided at the state legislative level. And it's not just a local office. It affects, even though you are running in East Baton Rouge Parish in East Feliciana, you affect everybody, whether they're
Absolutely.
in Caddo Parish or Plaquemines Parish or Calcasieu Parish. You're all over the place. So we play this little game here. We say, okay, you were elected last night and you're taking office. What are the things that you want to do or focus on as a state legislator in your work?
One of the things I want to focus on as I, looking at the area, specifically East Feliciana Parish, I start there, is that the school systems are underfunded due to there is a plethora of charter schools that have came into the area. We're trying to find sustainability there. Also, want to make sure we fix the roads and bridges. That's one of the biggest pieces. You have streets there that are still rocks, people who've been asking for roads. So the legislature has a surplus. Most of that surplus comes from federal funds, as we know. We know education and healthcare is probably one of the only two non-dedicated tax that we have in the legislature. So which means those are the two that often get cut. Well, I want to make sure that we don't cut those. I want to make sure that we provide where education and healthcare is priority now. I know that when we look at the state budget, we look at maybe perhaps cutting, because obviously we're looking at having to replace a certain tax that has been there. And a lot of people say, hey, let's get rid of these taxes. So I want to make sure I look at that particular budget and make a decision, hey, do we replace that tax or do we cut spending due to the fact that we're not going to have these same federal funds that are going to come in the next legislative session. So I want to make sure that I want to develop relationships obviously across the aisle. I'm a Democrat, so there obviously is going to be a supermajority that's still there. And so I want to work with other legislators, letting them know that, again, the priority is for the state of Louisiana. However, there are little pet projects within the district, and I know there's a give and take there. Give a little bit, take a little bit. So I'm going to go in there with open mind, making sure that I'm able to work with everybody and making sure that I at least tackle some projects in my community that are important to them. And like I said, most of the important things right now is especially fixing a lot of roads and bridges.
No doubt.
Yeah, and then again, making sure that we promote those small businesses that are currently there, and making sure that we find ways to direct funds their way so they can be able to put back into infrastructure.
Yeah, there's pretty consistent opinions across the state on what the major issues are. Roads and bridges, education are always at the top of that list, and so those are great things to come out and tackle in your first foray. So the next question we always ask is, how are you going to win the race? What are you doing right now? How's your campaign going? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'm self-running my own campaign. That's the whole part of being a business owner. You be able to put money aside to run for offices like this. So I've been just getting out there meeting people. And I've been trying to meet them with a net, not a fishing pole. So I've been having a lot of big community engagement meetings in the East Feliciana Parish. I've been to churches. I've been to, barbershops. I've talked to people at restaurants. Wherever there's people, I've walked streets. I've done mailer, I've done texts, whatever it takes to get my message out there. And being that I'm a political strategist, I've got so many other people elected, so I pretty got a niche on how it works. And so I've been doing pretty much the traditional things, but one of the things I know works the most is direct approach. And when you actually get to talk to people and share your ideas, it seemed in East Feliciana Parish, it seemed to go over like wildfire.
Right.
The word of mouth works really well up there in East Feliciana Parish. So, and the fact they're talking very positive about me and people walking up saying, hey, I'm voting for you, or I voted for you in early, with the absentee ballots. And so I'm just excited about, this year's election.
Well, that's good. That sounds like campaigns are difficult, but service is also difficult. And I've always enjoyed in my time meeting with constituents, particularly when you're running and talking to people. And it really is a positive experience because so many people just want help, right?
That's right.
They want you to help solve those problems that you can. So I appreciate, again, you offering yourself for public service. So just generally, is there anything else you want to add and share with our audience about anything, your campaign, your platform, or anything that you would like to talk to them about?
Yeah, I getting a pulse of the community. One of the things going on these journeys, I did a lot of listening. Oftentimes, politicians do a lot of talking about what they're going to do, and I make sure that I am realistic. Some areas I may not be able to tackle right away. Some of these things are long-term goals, but then we have some short-term goals that we can aspire to. And I think the buy-in that I'm going to try to aspire is to fix things that I know that it's within my control to do, and so. That's one of the messages I'm letting my constituents know is that we have some long-term goals in East Feliciana, and nothing's going to, and even in East Baton Rouge Parish in terms of Baker, where there needs to more business need to be attracted there. That budget is obviously, small within the municipality. There also are some hard conversations. East Feliciana Parish has the smallest property tax you probably can go. Some people paying $5 a month for property tax.
Wow.
I
might need to move there because mine's a little bit.
I looked at the land and I said, man, I thought about it myself, and they're just extremely afraid of taxes. And there are people, in my opinion, who've taken advantage of that tax break, and they haven't paid their share of taxes, which would go into the city, would go into infrastructure, because the bottom line is they can't go anywhere else. Because even though you may increase those businesses who are there, who don't provide jobs there, who are just simply taking advantage of the fact that people are paying $5. When I looked at a guy's property tax, he paid $6 for the year. Some people paid $25 and thought that was still too much. And I was thinking, I said, man, well, move to Zachary, where there's a dedicated tax just for the school district. They're paying $4,000 just for the school district alone, not even including.
Which is a bargain compared to East Baton Rouge Parish, by the way.
Yeah, and so. So those are hard conversations. Obviously, I'm not a proponent. Let's get this clear of raising taxes.
Right.
But I do believe in people paying fair share. And so those are conversations I like to have so that we can assist the school system.
Right.
There's not a lot of money that's going there. I think the East Feliciana Parish specifically, I think only 500 students total in the entire parish, because of course a lot of students have went to charter, which is a great school. I visited the principal at Slaughter Charter School. I love the school. I think, and I'm not even a person that are against charters. I'm against good schools. I'm bad schools.
Bad schools, right?
Yeah. If a charter school is good for your child, go. If it's a parochial school, Christian school, whatever is good for your child, I'm proponent of that. And another thing, like I said, even in Baker and Zachary, in parts of Baton Rouge, again, one of the things I want to tackle immediately again is the infrastructure. Crime is not as bad in East Feliciana Parish. Obviously, where you go, you can't. You go to the woods, and of course, you come on down to Zachary and have the same issue, and of course Baker, and then you have a little part of Zachary. Now, one of the things I did want to mention about my part of Baton Rouge and Glen Oaks is trying to move a substation there. A sheriff's substation. The nearest one is in Scotlandville. So even if you have an emergency call, because Glen Oaks is considered rural. It's considered on the outskirts, non-incorporated of Baton Rouge. So the sheriff department patrols some of Glen Oaks, and the closest precincts in Scotlandville. So we found an area in Glen Oaks where we can bring a precinct there, so it can be quicker access to emergency services, as well as quick response time to any criminal activity, and just the fact there's a presence there. So I want to make sure I work with the sheriff to find an area there so that we can at least have them safe.
Yeah. I love my folks in Glen Oaks. The Glen Oaks Dads is just an incredible group.
Yeah.
And
Dads,
in my service on the school board, I spent a lot of time in Glen Oaks. Love that community, and that's good. That I actually did not know that it was unincorporated. So,
we've never annexed it in. And I guess the question was why. But here's another deal. If you on Heck Young, that entire street are all brand new homes, probably in the range of $400,000 and above.
Wow.
And they're unincorporated too. But however, the school district map from Zachary has it's included there. So they pay the water tax in Baker and pay school tax in Zachary.
Wow.
And they're still unincorporated. They can only vote for parish-wide offices.
Wow.
So they can't have influence in any city. And so I said to Baker, I said, well, did you at least ask them? Yeah. That would help your base. But a lot of them, they prefer to stay unincorporated due to they're feeling that the property tax may decrease if they were to be annexed into the city. And so, again, I don't know what it would look like, but I can certainly say, that is a conversation I'm sure the mayor would like to have with those constituents that are there, and especially the fact they're building up on Highway 19 from the old juvenile detention center on down to Zachary. And so that would be some good incorporation if we could do it.
So I live in unincorporated Baton Rouge, and I do really love my sheriff's service. Any issues we've ever had, Sid Gautreau's a great sheriff, and really we feel good about the services that he has provided. And it's just, it's so hard. I know the Baton Rouge Police Department's struggling with getting more officers trained and online, and it's a problem, nationwide, really, to get police officers, because we don't pay them enough, and we probably don't give them the training that they need in order to be successful.
It's a tough job, and I did look at that. There's not enough boots on the ground for the Baton Rouge City Police. It's a very tough job. I have my opinions on what I believe should be better, certainly, but I do believe in bridge building. I do believe in trying to work with people to try to implement certain ideas. I know that there are some areas that are not nationally post-certified, certain municipalities who have police agencies that so that way we won't even know the rankings.
Right.
So we couldn't even compare East Feliciana Parish to anywhere else, because they're not even, but they don't have the money to do it.
That's right.
And so, so before we criticize them, say, hey, dude, I've talked with Jeff Travis a lot, before we say, hey, listen, we need to find the resources so that we can get you indexed, so that we can at least compare you against the nation in terms of law enforcement, and that's going to take money. And I believe that that's a compelling state interest where I can be able to present that and say, hey, listen, we're talking about crime,
right,
but we need to make sure that those agencies have the particular software and to be able to compare where we can be able to fill in some of the areas that we're struggling in. And a lot of them just don't simply know. And so they try to get resources from everywhere else, and it's simply not helping us. So certainly I have my work cut out for me. Sure. But I'm willing to get in with my fist, with my sleeves rolled up and get to work for the people.
Well, you've always had your sleeves rolled up, and I appreciate the services that you've provided. So, two things to close: tell us how they get in touch with you, and tell them ask for their vote.
Well, listen, if you live in East Feliciana Parish, East Baton Rouge Parish, specifically between Highway 19 and Plank Road, I'm asking you for your support and your vote. I believe, again, I'm the best candidate in this particular race, not because I say it, because I have a body of work and I have the dedication and commitment to making sure that the citizens are heard. I believe state representative is not just a position, but it's also an avocation, making sure people who are underserved, people who are voiceless, there's someone who represents all of them, not just for my district, but for the entire state. I believe that making those votes or having those votes, it impacts not only my district, but everyone else. And so I thank you, and I ask for your vote, and you ask for your consideration. You can reach me at www.danielbanguel.com. Of course, I'm on all social media platforms, but again, that's Daniel Banguel. A lot of people put a Q in my last name, but it's actually DanielBanguel.com, and that's how you'll be able to reach me.
Great. I thank you so much, and we'll post that up on the screen and in the show notes so that people know how to get in touch with you. So, and I appreciate you really being here, Daniel, and I wish you luck. So we are the Pelican Brief. You can find us on all of the podcasting platforms, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, all of them. You can find us on social media, and our handle there is at Pelican Brief 225. You can find us on YouTube at The Pelican Brief 225, or you can email us at thepelicanbrief225@gmail.com. And that is our show. And until next time, We'll see you then.
The Pelican Brief is an off-script production. The Pelican Brief is an off-script production.